Now then, hey, see that bloke there? Giving it rock all, opening up his heart for all the world to see. Well, that's Mash Baxter, international recording artiste, vocal stylist, oh yeah, and time-served, now veteran of Scunthorpe and surrounding areas music scene. Legend. Now in his 35th year, what? Yeah, 35th year of singing, he has the voice of an angel. Well, an angel who's partial to the odd tab and more than occasional slurp of tramp juice. Safe to say, I've known Mash all of his career. But who is Mash? Who is the man behind the public mask? What makes him tick? As in, what does he like? What doesn't he like? As opposed to, like, what makes Lewis Capaldi tick? No, that's different.
Cheeky bastard!
But more importantly, who was and is he when he isn't Mash Baxter? Well, buckle up, clunk click, and strap in for a roller coaster car crash trip, literally of a lifetime. The extraordinarily ordinary story of me, the rebel without applause. See what I did there? So, I thought, today's the day. Today's the day I've been putting off forever. Today is the day I tell my life story. And on reflection of recent global events and closer to home personal losses, plus the turning of 57 years, how the fuck did that happen? I best crack on, cause no one's gonna tell it if I don't. You know what I mean? Although, who's going to play me in the guaranteed, inevitable blockbuster film? Hey, Bradley Cooper, George Clooney's too old. I don't know, you got more chance of Tommy Cooper and fucking George Roper. I don't know. But anyway, I do have to say, any places, people, or incidents mentioned in the following story are all true. So don't even think of like taking me to court, because you'll just come out looking fucking stupid, to be honest. Plus, I've got note, so you can't take that away from me, can you? So, deep breath. Where do I start?
Chapter 1. A legend is born.
Let's start at the very beginning.
I was created in the back end of the summer of love and born in the inevitable drug-fueled come down the following July. Yeah, I was the last but most perfect of 4 children. Son to Pauline and Warner, Mr. and Mrs. Baxter, because parents were married in them days. For a while. Yeah, I was £10.12, so it's no coincidence that I was the last. You're not going to do that again in a hurry, are you? Yeah, 65 Salisbury Close, Westcliff, DN17, a much sought-after postcode. So, that was the family Baxter complete. Mum was mum, wasn't she? It was your mum. That's what they did. They had sex with dads somewhere between 1 and 5 times during their lives and stayed at home to bring up his offspring, with general contempt for ruining both her life and her figure. That was Mum's. Dads. Wow. Now, Dad was, at that point in time, a steel worker, which was the way for much of Scunthorpe's male population. Previously, he'd served in the Navy as a Morse code operator, but was a dab hand at doubling up on the all too regular basis as the ship's bar proper upperer. Oh yeah, bar proper upperer. He did like a tipple, did Dad. During them years, he was an avid gymnast, which was a skill obviously obtained from breaking his wage-blowing falls on an all-too-regular basis. But that was all. That was all before he came my dad. But he had so many reincarnations and reinventings of himself. It was like having a shitload of different dads, seriously. Like the way kids do. If you think back in the 70s, they had a load of different uncles that, ultimately transpired they were never actually blood-related uncles. No, they were just around trying to dip in the mums while Dad was away. It happened. Anyway, being raised by Dad was as close to being around someone, I'd say, with multiple personality disorder without actually being diagnosed. Do you know what I mean? But for all intents and purposes, Warner the Steelworker is the dad that I got for at least a few Christmases and a few birthdays. So that was me. I was born, like I say, at home, which I truly believe there should be a blue plaque on the wall of 65 Salisbury Close, Westcliff, Scunthorpe, DN17. Yeah, you see these plaques banded out all over the shop. I'm having one. Anyway, 65 Salisbury Close was an overcrowded but bustling, vibrant council house on a less than desirable housing estate, which I liked it, but it's still got a stigma attached to it to this day. But it was a great place to come from, with a firm, proud, working class roots that you would certainly keep you grounded should you ever get ideas above your station. All right, yeah. I don't have too many early memories, to be honest. And that's a fact I'm always envious of, when others can recall proper infant details with vivid recollection. I don't think I blanked out anything particularly, but I just don't remember an awful lot of them very early years. My formative years were an odd mixture of bewilderment and pure downright buffoonery of the highest order. Due, I think, to the varying ages of my three siblings. So, Anne was the eldest of the four of us. She was born in 1958, so she's already got 10 years on me. She was the estate's top bird. Oh, yeah, proper looker. That, to be honest, if I'd have been of a similar age to her and not a brother, I would have been on her like a tramp on a bag of chips. She was gorgeous. She went on to receive a much-coveted local beauty contest award. Oh, yeah. It was the 70s. And beauty contests were a big thing back then. I can guarantee most of my generation can recall such a time when the family used to gather around the telly in eager anticipation to see if the ultimate crowned queen was the very same one that half an hour previously your dad had pointed out. She'd have it. Miss World was huge back then, and I'm sure if it was brought back in 2025, it'd probably be Miss Woke World, and she'd just be huge. Yeah. Love the skin you're in. Anyway, I digress. I do have some cloudy early memories of my sister dressing me up in her clothes and banging makeup on me and displaying me to her friends, which, in hindsight, may go some way to explaining why I do occasionally don a tabard to do household chores and answer only to the name Chloe for the day. There. Next up, Colin. Colin was the next oldest. Born 1959, a year after Anne. Now, Colin, he was quite an odd one in Casa Baxter. But not odd in, say, a sadistic potential killer vibe. No. He was odd because he would question Dad. Stupid things like, why was a pencil called a pencil and it wasn't, say, a table? Yeah, perfectly ordinary question, freak. And while we're on the subject of table, the dining table. Picture it. So, Dad always wanted to do grace, you know, that thing where you thank the mythical sky fairy for today's burnt offering of shite. Yeah. So it was Colin's turn. Colin was asked to say grace. And Colin's refusal to say grace didn't go down too well with Dad, who showed his disapproval by stabbing Colin with a knife for being a twat at the dinner table. Yeah, perfectly reasonable behaviour. Just say grace and crack on, Colin. But all joking aside, Colin was to be an inspiration musically to me, certainly in later years. I remember creeping into his bedroom to listen to Radio Luxembourg. Fantastic. Which was then highly disregarded by the powers that be because it was an offshore pirate radio station. But that was an early introduction to what I would call proper music. An eclectic mix of the top tunes of the day and the unheard of then, but better B-sides of 7-inch vinyl singles, which was the case with Fleetwood Mac's Albatross, which is an instrumental, but if you turn it over on the original label, it had the masterful and wonderful Peter Green singing and faultlessly playing the blues sonnet, Need Your Love So Bad. Now, this is a song that not is only in my top 10 of favourite songs of all time, but I still perform it to this day. Around about this time, Colin showed a desire to start playing golf. Yeah. Now, Dad showed more than his disgust at the thought of his eldest son possibly showing traits of gayness. I don't know how he put golf and gay together. I don't know. It was the 70s. And finally, on to Kevin. 3 years older than me, Dad's favourite. And being the nearest in age to me, he was sadly my cellmate at Borstal Baxter. He was also my knackered shit-clothes hand-me-down supplier, because that happened back then. And even worse for me, he definitely recorded the worst case of athlete's fucking foot. It reeked. Oh, it was horrific. We did share the bedroom space very sparingly. You know, I only used it when I had to go to bed. But one of my favourite memories. So we had chest of drawers and shit, and then bunk beds. So because he was the oldest, he took the self-elected position of top bunk holder. Fair enough, crack on. Saves me climbing, doesn't it? But I used to love saying, Kev, look at this, look what I've got. So he would look over the edge of the bed, and as soon as I saw his head appear, I would push my feet up in the middle of the mattress, which would send him tumbling down to the fucking floor. I thought you deserved that for having reeky hooves. And in the words of Benny Hill, every time I did that, it tickled old Ernie. Kev also, academically decent. Yeah, a top all-round sportsman who went on to hold the Victor Ladorum Trophy. Which was our school's version of like, I don't know, Daley Thompson's decathlon. Yeah, you were good over a shitload of things, and they gave you a trophy for it. Yeah. And I say it was Dad's favourite because they would spend hours, if not months, fiddling with televisions, radios, anything electrical. Yeah, whereas me, I was far more engrossed in causing havoc and starting fires, both physically and metaphorically, wherever I could. I was a fucking idiot. Which I've been told earned me the reputation and label of being a little twat. So that was that. The family Baxter. And although much water has indeed passed under the shakily built bridge, some of which is irreparable, but you know, that's the nature of families. You can't live with them, you can't sleep with them.
Scunthorpe.
So Scunthorpe, in my early years at least, it was a hard-working, honest place to grow up. You had 3 massive steelworks, so you had a huge influx of people with different backgrounds, different ideologies. And the Baxter lineage was no exception to this. So my mother's father, Harold, he came from Port Talbot in South Wales to settle here because he was a steelworker. My dad's dad, he came from... no idea. No. All we know is that Colin Baxter died during World War II. He was in a Nottinghamshire regiment. He's buried in Scunthorpe, and his name is on the memorial wall at the local museum. Yeah, good old Colin. How did he die? Why did he die? Where did he die? Nobody knows. It's a family mystery that sadly older family members have taken to their grave with him. You know, we did try inquiring, and all we know is that he wasn't a popular addition to the family and was never to be spoken about again. Yeah, which, to be honest, that must be a Colin thing. So in Salisbury Close, we had Irish, Scottish and Welsh and English, all mixed together in a big old-fashioned loving. And that's the way that the kids, at least, saw it. Until our parents filled our open, free, pure minds with religious, social class hatred, bigotry, and general hereditary bile. Yeah. I swear it's such a shame that kids don't get to make the rules. Because that childhood innocence is just a beautiful thing. No child is born, say, with hate or the knowledge of colour distinction. Nah, being grown up is overrated and it's a con. And I, for one, am not buying into it. Although, to be honest, I still don't class myself as a grown-up. And I am astonished whenever I get home and one, I've got a key that opens a door to a house that I actually own. Oh, yeah. And a van. Yeah. And now a camper van. But anyway, much more of that later.